So for a while now, there's been this topic that's always been re-entering the feeds over and over again. For the past 4 to 5 years, people have been talking about Eugenia Cooney and the very obvious situation that she's in, the anorexia, the fact that she's, well, as people always speculate, every time this story comes around, she's probably going to die soon. And this is not a story that people bring to make fun of her or anything, you know, it's not like people come around and shit on her for this. Some people do, but for the most part, people seem to express some sort of concern for this girl, and it seems to be genuine from what I can see. However, this recent proposed solution to help Eugenia Cooney, because it's obvious that she has no interest in helping herself, and the people around her, her family, has no interest in helping her either. The proposed solution to sort of force Eugenia to get the care that she needs, to get on some sort of diet, to, well, get rid of her anorexia, is to forcibly remove her, deplatform her from the platform for, I guess, being too mentally ill to operate a career on this space. This proposed petition: remove Eugenia Cooney from YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Straight up deplatform her from the internet because supposedly her eating disorder thrives from the attention, both positive and negative, that she gets from the internet. The internet has decided that they are now, you know, they are these professional doctors that can just decide that somebody is literally too ill, too unequipped to use the internet, and so they're gonna step in and propose this solution as if this is obviously going to help her in some sort of way. And folks, I am not exaggerating when I say this proposed idea gives me brain rot. I saw people arguing this yesterday on Twitter, and I couldn't believe it. You can see I wrote on Twitter, wait a minute, so the big brain solution to save Eugenia Cooney is to strip her of her income? LOL? Why in the fuck would someone argue to deplatform someone for their fucking disorder in the name of helping them? This prompted a back and forth between me and some people on Twitter that I can tell genuinely cared about this situation. This petition, though, I'm not gonna lie, strikes me as a concern troll, and what I mean by that is people pretending to feel sorry for this random girl on the internet, but proposing something dastardly that would obviously lead to more problems than solutions. People want to talk about mental health all the time. What do you think one of the leading causes of suicide is? Losing your fucking job would be one of them. And stripping her of her income does not, like, that doesn't make any sense to me how that would help her more than it would hurt her. But listen, alright, I'm not an idiot. I went through a lot of conversations on Twitter, and I found basically what the two talking points were why we need to deplatform Eugenia. The first argument is that she's promoting her fucked up lifestyle to impressionable children by simply existing. Though she does not promote anorexia, and she apparently never has, at least not that I could see, the argument is that her simply existing on the platform, living in the state that she is, will convince impressionable teenagers who stumble across her videos to engage in anorexic eating behaviors and fall down, I guess, the anorexia pipeline themselves. And while this may happen, I'm not going to discount that that could happen. I cannot begin to prescribe that fault at Eugenia simply for existing. I mean, she doesn't promote her lifestyle. She doesn't even talk about her lifestyle. All of her content appears to be just normal, innocent content that is, you know, talking about anything but the elephant in the room. It seems like the only time she brings up her very obvious situation is when other people bring it up first. Yeah, so some kids might stumble across her video when they're 13, 14, and they might be flirting with maybe trying out dangerous lifestyles, and maybe Eugenia Cooney is the YouTuber that pushed them over the edge and got them to try anorexia or try not eating. But let's be honest, there was probably something there psychologically that was going to push them to that in the first place. You can't put the blame on Eugenia Cooney for pushing them there. This sounds like the same bullshit arguments I hear when people are like, oh, edgy jokes lead to literal neo-Nazi radicalization, or how video games lead to people committing real acts of violence in real life because it normalizes it to them. I have not and never will prescribe YouTubers or videos or genres of media to pushing people to dangerous lifestyles. Rap music doesn't push you to gang violence, video games don't push you to school shootings, and Eugenia Cooney solely does not push you to anorexia. I'm sorry, but I'll never believe that. The other argument that was presented to me is that her disorder feeds off both the positive and negative comments that she receives, so therefore she will die if she stays on YouTube. All the people that comment negatively about her body or positively about her, wishing her the best of luck, apparently her eating disorder supposedly feeds off of the attention that she gets from presenting herself and being such a massive public figure, living the way that she does, and therefore she must be removed from the platform because her taking in these comments daily is not causing her to realize, hey, maybe I should, eat some food. Maybe I should get healthy and stop living like this. Folks, do you really think that pushing her off the internet and kicking her off the internet is really going to stop her from reading these comments in the first place? No, of course not. Whether she's on the internet or not, she will continue to read these comments. And if anything, if she was to be massively deplatformed from the internet for literally being too mentally ill to run a YouTube channel as decided by the general public, that would only increase the amount of comments that she would be reading in the first place. Again, one of the leading causes of suicide is literally losing your job. If you're so concerned about this girl's mental health, then taking away her income and leaving her dependent on her mother is probably the worst thing you could do if you really give a shit. This feels like a concern troll. This idea that is being proposed is so preposterously stupid, I have to assume that the majority of people that are supporting this are concern trolling and don't actually give a shit. But I do know there are people that do legitimately care about this situation based on the conversations that I have, and I just have to say, all right, put aside your emotions for a second, because the people that are arguing to get rid of Eugenia Cooney to deplatform her are literally arguing off of emotion, if they do care at all. You can't just censor somebody, you can't just deplatform somebody because they're too sick, all right? Otherwise, throw off all the mukbang channels that stuff their face with food, throw off Nikocado Avocado. I mean, would you say his lifestyle is very healthy? Of course not. But hey, and I can't believe I have to say this, but you're allowed to be sick and be on YouTube. These people that have decided that they're now her, like, fucking, mental therapist, or they're her physical doctor, they've decided that she needs to go, and that kicking her off the internet is gonna just be, it's like a magic switch, it's gonna solve all her problems, are fucking stupid. The sad truth of the situation is that Eugenia Cooney will probably never get better unless she herself decides to change her life. People want to kick her off the internet and make her dependent from her mother, but apparently her mother does not give a shit about her mental well-being or her physical well-being. That should be obvious based on how she chooses to live. So you're gonna make this girl that you care so much about dependent on her abusive mother? Yeah, that really sounds like a good idea. Well done, guys. This plan makes so much sense. I really don't know what's happened to the internet to where I have to explain this to people like it's like you're 3 years old. And I don't mean to come off, well, I mean, I do mean to come off a little bit pretentious, a little bit of an asshole here, because I just think this plan is just so dumb. It just reeks of, like, half of it is just people arguing from emotions stupidly, and the other half of it is people just concern trolling and using these tactics to deplatform, which is, obviously I'm not for either way. I saw some people say, like, oh, well, obviously it would benefit her much more to get a regular job and to remove herself from YouTube, remove herself from the public spotlight. Wow, really? You think she should get a regular job instead of YouTube? Okay, that's really cool. How do we know that will help the problem? Can she even get a real job? Is she physically able to work a real job? Would companies even hire her due to her fucked media perception and her physical condition? Alright, did you ever think about any of these questions when you just threw out these fancy ideas of, like, oh, sick girl on the internet? Haha, I know what will save her. Just get a real job. I mean, fuck, dude. It's hard enough for regular YouTubers who have no existing conditions like this to magically switch from a YouTube job to working the wage slave, let alone Eugenia Cooney. I mean, what job do you propose that she work? People are saying, like, well, I guess she doesn't need a job. She's got a lot of money. She'll just live off the money she's made from YouTube and be off the public spotlight, and it'll all be smooth sailing from there. Yeah, dude, that's a really solid plan, dude. Just live off the money that she's made. No telling how much or how little she's made, or if she's made enough to live off of that for the time being, how long that will last. Or what if she decides to have a family in the future and there's, all kinds of expenses she has to account for that she can't possibly calculate right now. Like, none of these people make any sense. Holy shit. And again, people saying that, oh, she could just live with her parents. It's like, yeah, live with her mom, who apparently hates her anyway. Like, what is this? I don't understand, guys. It just doesn't make any sense. I know a lot of people don't like Boogie 2988 because, well, he rides the fence and he doesn't have a solid take on a lot of things that he talks about. But if there's one take that Boogie definitely has a solid take on, it's this topic right here. He did a fantastic video explaining exactly how moronic this whole idea is, and he does it in a much nicer way than I could. Take a listen to this.
So the idea that someone like me or someone like Eugenia could get kicked off of YouTube for a weekend or for a month or even a year and then come back all better is a fallacy that has been sold to you by the folks over at Biggest Loser. If you do the research and look at the people that were on the Biggest Loser, most of them relapsed, and some of them relapsed worse than they were before the show, but whatever. So with this understanding of my mindset, I hope you can imagine the absolute horror I felt when I saw this petition on Twitter today to remove Eugenia Cooney from YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. And here's the thing. I think the people behind this petition mean well. I just don't think they are factually correct in what they're doing here. They basically say, due to her eating disorder and the fact that she hasn't gotten any help, they are asking YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram to step in and to take an active role in temporarily removing her from those platforms while she receives the help that she needs. And I guess they are under the impression that a weekend in a rehab facility or a month in a rehab facility is just going to fix her. But that's just not factually correct. Even some of the studies that they quoted in this petition prove that. Right here in this petition, it says, global studies have shown that 9% of the population suffers from an eating disorder, and that eating disorders are often lifelong battles that result in hospitalization and death. So
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense right there, and I just want to add to that video real quickly. I think a lot of people just want easy solutions, you know, assuming that they have the best intentions in mind, they want an easy solution to everything. Like, take the school shooting issue, for instance, alright? We all hate school shootings, we wish that, you know, school shootings didn't happen, but people want to throw out, you know, these easy solutions, like, oh, just ban all guns, when in reality, there's so much more complexity to the issue, there's so much more nuance to the conversation, you can't just say, do this, and then this will work over here. It just doesn't work like that. And likewise, you know, with an eating disorder, you know, kicking her off YouTube or forcing her to go to a mental institution, like, that's just not gonna it's not going to work. It's not gonna just magically switch her. There's no button that's gonna be flipped in her head that's gonna magically solve this issue for her. It's a tragic situation, alright? But the reality of the matter is that really it's all up to her whether or not she wants to change her lifestyle. And it's absolutely tragic to think about that. I'm not, you know, trying to minimalize anything here. I'm just saying that these proposed ideas that people have, these last resort ideas, I feel like are coming from a place of just stupidity because they're coming from emotion. They're coming from people who are just desperately clinging on to something to save this person when in reality, there's very little we can actually do. And that's a very chilling thing for me to say, but it's true. The rest of the people supporting this that don't actually give a shit, I feel like are just concern trolling and are just using this as another way to deplatform somebody that they don't particularly care for. Her last video got mass disliked and a bunch of comments shitting on her, and I just have to scoff. Like, these are the people that supposedly care so much about mental health as they shit on her in the comment section. Like, really? Do you actually care? I'm pressing X to doubt on that one. I try to separate myself from these issues and, you know, I don't want to come off, you know, like I'm some sort of, you know, concern troll. The reality of the situation is that I don't know Eugenia Cooney. I have no vested interest in this person. She's just somebody on the internet that has to go through a very unfortunate condition that I know very little about. But what I do know is that the people that are proposing solutions, the people that do claim to care, are fucking stupid. And they're simply arguing for something that's going to do the exact opposite of what they want to happen, assuming they have the best intentions in mind. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's my take on the Eugenia Cooney situation.